people, welcome to my podcast Life Adventures Taught Me. Today we will be talking about Lisbon, about our travel experiences, about surfing and Eurovision Village. In the previous episode we spoke about Porto and hitchhiking from Porto to Lisbon. So previous episode was the first part of Portugalia trip. If you haven't listened to the first episode of Portugalia trip, you can find it on my podcast channel. And let's just continue our story where we stopped from arriving to Lisbon. So finally we have arrived to Lisbon, my destination number one, the city that I like the most, and it was probably partly because of my experiences that I had like amazing experience over there, and also because it's really beautiful. I really like this city. It's so colorful. It has a lot of hills going up and down, and in some areas it reminded me of South America. I really liked it, and they say it's like the sunniest city in Europe. And I remember it was like totally my vibe. So let's mention some attractions also that I googled. I forgot the name, but this one I remembered. Bell and Tower. It's I think the most famous attractions over here. It's like near the center, like right next to the river. It was built as a fortress to protect the entrance of the port. It's kind of whitish, pointed out on the river, and it looks unique, kind of some castle style. One really what made like my stay in Lisbon like so good, one thing was Eurovision. Actually Eurovision was happening 1 week after my trip over there, and I was sad like, oh, I'm not gonna be there during the Eurovision, but actually that was the best part because I saw the Eurovision in preparing, and I saw the Eurovision Village. Before I didn't even know that Eurovision Village exists, like because I follow Eurovision for many years. Like lately I'm not following that much, I don't like it as before, but until 2018 I really liked it. When I arrived, like I was immediately, it was also evening, I was immediately going outside like towards the center and the riverside, and there is the river, it's called Tagus, River Tagus. It's the longest river in the Iberian Peninsula. So I headed over there and I found the Eurovision Village, and I was so surprised and I loved it. I was there like 3 or 4 days I think 4 days in Lisbon, and every evening I spent over there. I met a lot of people. We talked, we danced, we sang, we played. And this Eurovision Village was on the attraction Praça do Comércio, Commercial Square. It's really huge. It has a great view to the river, and I remember sunsets really beautiful over there. That's the reason why I also like the Eurovision Village, where every evening, as I said, like I spend a lot of time over there. I saw even Alexander Rybak. He was in 2009 or 2010 singing for Norway, representing Norway with the song sorry for singing, but oh my god, I don't remember what was the name of the song. It was with the violin. I really liked it. So I was so surprised. He was walking next to us, like so chill, like, and a lot of people who participated in previous years Eurovision. We talked with them and like we spent time, like we had a lot of fun. Amazing vibes from over there. Some other attractions that make Lisbon really beautiful are Geronimo Monastery. There is São Jorge Monastery that you can visit. A lot of people gave recommendation. And my friend, like we got separated. Like in Lisbon we decided like we're gonna visit the things that we want. So as I separated for hitchhiking, I separated myself for this too. I wanted to go surfing, and when I saw Eurovision Village, I went after the things I liked, and she went after other things, museums, monasteries, and I don't remember other things that she wanted to visit. And I think we did it really great because she could manage like to do whatever she wanted, and I could manage to do all the things I wanted, and we were both satisfied. And in some point of the day, some time of the day, we would meet and do some things together. But most of the time we were separate, and it was amazing. We experienced different things, and then when we meet each other, we were like, oh, I did this and this, oh, I experienced this and this. So it was really a good idea. So She went to visit some castles in surrounding. I remember Sintra. She showed me the pictures. It was like really beautiful place and totally worth visiting. I went for my vibes, my surfing and Eurovision village and visiting different stuff in the city. Interesting place you can also visit in near Lisbon is Cascais place. It's like also has the beach for surfing. There is a Lisbon cathedral, the oldest church, Santa Maria Maior, from the 12th century. For free, like budget travelers, there are the best overlooks of Lisbon in many different spots. On the hills, you can have the colorful landscape view to the colorful part of the city. It gave the vibe, as I said, the South America. There were a lot of around the streets, like a lot of street musicians with fado music, which is typical for Portugal. There is, I remember the view when I look east. There is the longest bridge, Vasco da Gama Bridge. It is the longest one in Europe, longer than 12 kilometers. It was made like to connect like south and north part of the country, because the other bridge was like, the one that looks like San Francisco. The other one was like really busy, and they made this one a long one, like to not to have so much traffic jam. The Tram 28, it passes next to main attractions in Lisbon, such as Barrio Alto, Alfama, Chiado, and others. It has like nice vibes. It brings you back to other centuries. So one of these days I walked until the bridge that has the statue Cristo Rei, that looks like the one from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. It's a red bridge, as I said, like similar to San Francisco Bridge. It's called 25th April, yeah. That day I walked 50 kilometers. I walked until that bridge just to see this monument, and also visited a lot of things around, like going in the hills up and down, like so different vibes, different houses, different attractions, and it was really amazing. But that day I walked like around 50 kilometers. I measured with my phone and I was like, oh my god, even like on marathons that I go for months, I don't walk this much. And my hostel was a little bit far, okay, budget traveling, but it was a little bit far from the city center. It was like 2-3 kilometers, and I walked every time because I liked walking. I could take a bus or something. It was not so expensive, cheap, but I liked walking. That's the way you meet the city the best, and that's when you see a lot of things. And I remember when I came, my legs were like vibrating. They were like after walking so much. That day, like after Eurovision Village, I came home at 2-3 a.m. From Eurovision Village, I remember the best performance, I think the best song performance and all together. It was Eleni from Cyprus. Her song was Fuego, and I saw it in live. Like I didn't see songs before. It was the first time that I saw it before her performance in the Eurovision. And she sang like some energetic songs from Greece. She was amazing. I loved it, the performance over there. So like each night in the Eurovision there were performances, like different participants of Eurovision, like for this year and previous years they were singing and like having different performances. So I enjoyed over there. It was like the best time. I chose like to visit Lisbon. Now when I look back, I have realized when I traveled solo there is more responsibility, but also so much more freedom, and you also discover just how capable you are. You're not aware of it until you throw yourself in it. As we talked like in the previous episode, throw yourself out of your comfort zone, you realize how capable you are actually. You just need to be brave, and you can adapt. You just need to want and not to be afraid, less fear. So that's what I realized. I discovered just how capable we are when you go solo, and like how you find like the way and the ideas how to manage something. About the Lisbon, I remember there was like one tour guide like in the city tour. He was talking about the earthquake that hit like the Lisbon. It was one of the most destructive and deadly earthquakes in history in 1755, and it killed more than a third of the entire population in the city. Tens of thousands of people who survived back then this earthquake, they were actually after that killed by the tsunami that was triggered by this earthquake. So catastrophic event over there. Just as I mentioned before, sunsets here are amazing, and if I decide like to live in the future, I would like to live in Valencia, Spain, but probably Lisbon would also like one of the top ideas where I would like to live. Okay, I would like to finish like the Lisbon with the highlight, another highlight from this trip. It was surfing. One of the best experiences I ever did. The first time I did it, and that's where I fell in love with surfing. I went to Costa de Caparica near Lisbon. on the ocean, open ocean, and wide and long beach all around. So really beautiful beaches, and I paid for the class of surfing. We were a group of I think 15 people. And actually the photo I took over there after my class, first class in surfing, it's the logo of this channel. It's actually part of the logo of my channel, my silhouette with the surfing board. It was taken over there where I was like really adventurous, and like I had like a crazy good memory, one of my favorite memories. And yeah, I gotta say, I was after the class, I was the one of the best in the group. I managed like immediately on the first class like to catch a few waves. Those were like really small waves, but with big boards for the beginners. And I just want to say about the feeling when you are surfing, the feeling when you are on the wave going forward, feeling the wind. Oh my god, like just now when I remember it, it's amazing. I don't know, it just feels like heaven. It feels right. It feels so good. You put so much pressure, like row, how do you say, like swimming with remar in Spanish, remaring, remar with your hands before the wave comes. There goes the preparation to raise yourself, and then you just jump, and your arms they stand in front, so you have the balance. And after that, just the feeling, like when you feel the wave taking you, when you feel the energy lifting you up just a bit, that's the moment when you need to get up and start finding your balance on the board, and you go forward on the side depending on the type of the wave. But that feeling just surfing, like being on the board, surfing the wave, is definitely one of the favorite things I have ever done, and I want to do it more in the future. I did it in Dominican Republic, but I liked it, but I like more sand beach than like stone beach. So far my favorite surfing was here, like in Lisbon. Maybe it's because it was the first one and it was like the easiest. In Dominican Republic it's much more wild ocean on the beaches where I was surfing, and it was much harder. I would like to mention now, after these experiences, challenges that I faced during this trip, the challenges and or difficulties. Definitely hitchhiking going alone, just getting through it, but it gave me like the best memories. It gave me like really good time and so much excitement, adrenaline, and I learned so many things. Like it's literally throwing yourself out of comfort zone. Of course, always be careful, plan things, try to be safe, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go out of your comfort zone. Definitely that was a challenge, big challenge for me. Difficulties, it was like when you can take this example, when I was like hitchhiking and nobody wanted to stop. Like it's difficult when you are with yourself alone and there is nobody to help you, and you are in a strange place and you don't know what to do. What I did is that just go directly and ask people, and then don't be afraid, like I'm thinking like, should I go, should I not? Like you need to be more brave, you need to be more like, just throw yourself and ask. Don't be there like just showing your finger for hitchhiking and just waiting if somebody is gonna pick you up. That's for sure what I'm gonna do. It's just like when you see people nearby, like it's always better like to go directly and talk with them. As I said, like you put more pressure, and then there is more pressure on them that they will take, like, because you exchange some kind of information, they can see if you are dangerous or not, and they can pick you up and take you at least some part of the trip. So you need to face the situation better and don't let the fears overcome you. So that's one of the lessons that we learned from this trip, and it really shaped my experience of this trip. It really gave it a really nice and exciting vibe. Now when I go back, I really feel good. Now that I talk about it, I love it. I love the feeling that I have, because I come back to memory, to those memories that I generally wouldn't go back if I don't speak about them in details. So I really like podcasting. That's what I realize now, and I'm for sure gonna continue doing it like for a long time. There is always something that I would like to share, because in the past few years I have experienced so many different things, because I was getting myself so many times out of comfort zone. From each situation you learn a lot, and put yourself challenges, don't be afraid, and think the life needs to be consistent out of challenges, because then you overcome yourself. It gets you there where you want to be. You learn, and then you know how to manage your life better. Like when I was listening language on the street, because it was not familiar so much to me, I could recognize it before even going to Portugal, what is Portuguese language, but when I heard it on the streets, it It sounds like Serbian because they have a lot of it sounds like that, and Serbian is like similar. We have a lot of too. And yeah, generally people are polite and welcoming, and they really want to help you. As many times when I saw on the streets, like I was like, this guy must be Portuguese. Like when I was traveling around Europe, and actually when they started speaking Portuguese. So I think with few nations I realized what is something that all of them have similar, so for me sometimes it's easier to recognize. So this is where I would like to finish our third episode. I would like to invite you to share your own travel stories if you have visited Lisbon or Porto or Portugal in general, and I would like to hear your point of view, and maybe some of my friends, they can share their stories and give some recommendation, because I would like to come back to Portugal and maybe even live in Lisbon, as I mentioned, or surrounding area. This area reminds a lot to Andalusia because it's close to each other and it's like really warm area with nice beaches and nice nature. To hear more about my stories, my travel adventures and experiences, and my point of view to a certain situation, some advices also from different life adventures, you can subscribe to this channel, Life Adventures Taught Me, so you can listen to my future episodes. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode and learned something new, and it made you want to travel more or use your days in life a little bit more, not just sit in the same place, work with the same work, to maybe motivate you to go see something else, like to travel a little bit, to put yourself on an adventure, and or maybe to visit like these cities that I have visited. Thank you for listening, and you can find me also on Instagram, Don Alejandros. My Instagram is Don Lowline Alejandros. You can find the link in the description also. I cannot wait to share my next episode to talk about my other adventures, and I have just realized how interesting is this. So definitely I'm gonna share a lot more about my life adventures. And until the next episode, I want you to be your happiest version, do what you like, and use the best out of every day. Ciao, ciao!